All right. So welcome back. Welcome back. Now, I hope you're much more excited than last week, and you have a lot of stuff that you covered last week, and I gave you some homework around it. I hope you haven't forgot to do the homework, and you were able to put in some time. Now, if you had done everything as I requested, okay, if you couldn't do it, that's okay. You can, probably still over the next week or so, still try to monitor it and see if you can pick up on little details that only a person can notice once they're watching it live. Okay? The purpose for me doing these homeworks is it is one thing to hear me talk about it, to talk about it on a chart that's not moving, and it's another thing for you to go there and see it firsthand on the charts. And then you come back and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. It makes sense now. Okay? So that's the main purpose of this. All right? So now that we're here, and last week I told you about some, you're going to notice some little nuisances. Okay? Some of these you will have noticed, and you can let me know in the videos below of how many of these were you able to notice. Okay? I'm going to start listing them piece by piece. This list that I'm giving you actually comes from my team. When I trained them, these questions came up, and they're the most frequently asked questions whenever I trained one of my team members on volumes. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Okay, the first one was, hey Naveen, I noticed volume always increases anyways during market opens. Okay, so let me change this to Bangkok time. So I know where the market opens and stuff. Okay, so let's have a look at something like this. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm more aware of Bangkok hours here. So this is approximately 6 p.m. is when around US open. So you can see there's a high increase in volume around US market. Now, it is normal for the markets to rise in volume when they're open, right? When they're opening. Okay. But to think that, oh, how can this be important if this is going to rise anyways because market is open? There is an importance there because the main business from the larger players is done during opening hours. Okay, so it does play a role. Now here's another thing. Okay, here's another thing. So now this is the next day, okay, around London. Do you see the difference between what happened in London versus what happened in US? Can you feel the power of change? Okay, you can see it's a lot lower, and there are days when things start to die out. Okay, which tell you, hey, maybe these are the days you want to stand aside a little bit and be like, I don't think this is a very active day because the markets are open, and because the markets are open, I'm not seeing any interesting amount of volume. This is not the average amount of volume. This is not normal because the average seems to be, let me do it like this, seems to be at least above the current, right? You see the average around this open, around that open, around that open. This is pretty low. This is pretty low, right? So it's little things like this that will help you to understand, okay, for that nuisance, it's normal, okay? Now, maybe I need to change the word from nuisance to little details that you notice, okay? Because it's not a bad thing. These nuisances are not a bad thing. So the little details that you notice, we're going to change the word to details, okay? All right, so the next detail that was brought up by one of the teammates was, hey, Naveen, sometimes I see a range, and then I'm in a downtrend, okay, then I see a range develop, and then I get a high volume on the move up, and then no volume on the move down. What does that mean? Why is it low, 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 and then high volumes, that wasn't a good one. High volume on the move up, but then on the move down, nothing. And then if that means nothing, is that really a probe? Does that mean something? What does that have to do with anything? How do I know what that means? Okay, so for this particular thing, it basically means there was a buyer who stepped in and the sellers completely consumed it. Okay, again, there was a buyer that stepped in, okay, because that indicates buyers are now in control of the market. But very quickly, okay, when I say very quickly, I'm talking about several candles at most, and they're coming right back down. Okay, it does not have to be a high volume. Does not have to be a high volume, but it must overtake where it started from. So it must reach that point very easily. Okay, not in a struggle, very smoothly. Because if it's coming down in a struggle, that means it's a pullback for a buy. Okay, and obviously we don't want to do that buy because we're in an overall downtrend. Okay, it just means standby. But if he eats the whole thing, we use the word eat, right? It eats the entire buyer, then the seller basically is regaining control. Now, what does that mean though? Let's get into a little bit of detail of that. What does that mean? Okay, I'm gonna redraw it again here. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. If we have a volume that's rising, but then it gets eaten on a lower volume, it means the markets are not looking to travel far. Okay, try to understand that. It means they're not looking to travel far. However, if there is no volume, okay, let's say, or a low volume, these are all low volumes, right? They're just average, slow, 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 slow. And then we have a little bit higher, not much, for the up move, but then the down move does this. Now, it's the same pattern in technical analysis, but the volume tells you something different. This one tells you the sellers hit it as hard as they could. This increases the velocity of this. This has a chance to go a little bit further because they're stepping in instead of taking over the buyers. You see the difference there? The pattern is exactly the same, except the story is telling you something different based on volume. Okay, aha moment there. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so that is also one of the small details or nuisances, as you want to call it. Another small thing is, hey, Naveen, I notice I see candles like this at times, and then I see a large volume come up. Well, what does that mean? How do I know if this is a seller stepping in, or because there's a tail on the bottom, what if a buyer hit it? Okay, so let me try to explain this. Let me draw this. This is a common thing. All right, let's say you have a red candle. Let me draw it red. Let's say you have a red candle and it looks like this. Okay, nice red bar. Okay, it has a wick on top. Now it's like, oh yeah, when the buyers probably went up, they got smacked down from here and then it went all the way down. That's why it's red. Okay, it's a fair enough assumption. But what happens if I put a tail on the bottom? And now you have a high volume also on that candle. Now we have a confusion of, did the high volume start from the top? Did it start from the bottom? Or do I just say it started from the top because the candle is red? Okay, this little detail, if you've noticed it, it means you have to investigate. You gotta go down to a smaller time frame to find out where was the pressure coming from. Was it this way or was it this way? Once you find out that pressure, things will make a little bit more sense. Okay? Then you have a little bit more confirmed identity or direction. Okay. Another nuisance, and the final one, is, Naveen, I also noticed at times that I have a consolidation or a congestion, and then inside that congestion I have decent size volume, and then I have a very high volume, and then it goes like that again. But nothing happened. Nothing happened in that chart. What does that mean? Okay, so that is also a normal sign. What happens there means a big player stepped in to do a buy or a sell, but a counterparty also stepped in and said, okay, I'll take it. So if there was a big seller saying, hey, I want to sell 5 million pieces of this euro, another party comes in and says, I'll take it. Okay, so when you have high volume, but the price is not going out of balance, it means there is satisfaction in the market. They're shaking hands and they're happy with it. Okay, it's just a transfer of money. Make sense? Okay, however, when you have a high volume on a break, it means they did not shake hands and now price is looking for the next participant. So he's looking for the next seller. Okay, that's why there's a high volume and things went off balance because there's way too many buyers compared to the sellers. Seller said, I'm not going to sell it to you at this price anymore. If you are willing to pay more, then maybe. Okay, and that's why the prices go up, reaching for more, and because they know the demand is there and the buyers want to buy it. Okay, all right, so I hope all these nuisances got answered. We are getting steps closer to everything. I'm really excited for you to get started into the next video now. Again, if you've had aha moments in this particular video alone, let me know in the comments below. And more importantly, how many of these nuisances or details did you pick up on? Okay. Again, if you didn't pick up on these and or you haven't done them yet because you were busy, that's okay. When you do them going forward, keep track of these little details. Okay, they all go under the same line of what we discussed in week 2. Only difference is, as you're watching them live, these little nuisances or little details are going to show up. And instead of confusing you, you need to mark them down and be like, I wonder what this means. Okay, because there is a logical answer for all of it. It is not, it can mean this or this. Okay, again, I told you this in the beginning of the course. And when we launched the course, basically, there is no such thing as, I don't know how to interpret this, or it could be interpreted in many ways. No, it's very straightforward. Very, very straightforward. Okay, let's proceed to the next video.